One of New York City's most prominent religious leaders, the Reverend Calvin Butts, has died. Butts spent more than 30 years as senior pastor and 15 years in ministry at Abyssinian Baptist Church. The church announced the 73-year-old pastor's death this morning. CBS News' Elijah Westbrook is live in Harlem with reaction and a look back at his legacy. Elijah.
Well, Mary, you know, it's easy to understand the impact of Reverend Butts here, who, after speaking with so many people in this Harlem community, have talked about the love and appreciation they have had for him. Right there behind me is Abyssinian Baptist Church, a place where he was a staple of for more than 3 decades. In fact, that incredible milestone was about to be celebrated in just a few weeks.
Whether or not you're a man or a woman who's just been blessed, even though you know we're living in some difficult times, you thank God that you were able to get up this morning. And
there was something about the voice of Reverend Dr. Calvin Butts, who led the historic Abyssinian Baptist Church here in Harlem for decades, that people would tell you about.
Reverend Butts was an outstanding preacher, minister. He cared about his parishioners.
Reverend Butts was a trusted leader here in Harlem. He was born in Bridgeport, Connecticut, before he and his family moved to Queens. He graduated from Flushing High School in 1967 before earning a degree at Morehouse. The late Reverend joined Abyssinian as a youth minister back in 1972 and has truly become a trusted faith leader among politicians and the public.
Had the honor of meeting him and attending the service here at the church, and we live on the block. We're neighbors.
Butts became pastor in 1989, continuing Abyssinian's mission. Everything from feeding the poor to building affordable housing and new schools in Harlem.
We've been doing marvelous things socially, politically, economically, and of course religiously, spiritually.
And best believe he knew or established a relationship with almost every prominent figure, not only in New York, but across the country. Reverend Butts was a major pillar in the Harlem community and is irreplaceable. He goes on to say he will be tremendously missed. Butts was also known as President Emeritus of SUNY Old Westbury and served in the Fordham University Graduate School of Education as a distinguished visiting professor. It's been an emotional and somber mood out here in front of Abyssinian Church as parishioners and others alike are slowly finding out about the news of his passing. And on a personal note here, I just wanted to mention that I was actually christened by the late Reverend Calvin Butts back in the early 90s. So this is certainly something that hits home not only for me, but my family and, of course, many others who personally knew him here in Harlem. We should mention that Reverend Butts does leave behind 3 kids and 6 grandchildren. Butts was just 73 years old. Live this afternoon here in Harlem, Elijah Westbrook, CBS 2 News.
Elijah, thank you for that. Such a loss. And Governor Hochul reacting to the news, saying, "I am deeply saddened by the passing of my friend, Reverend Dr. Calvin Butts," adding he embodied true spiritual leadership with a commitment to faith, community, and mentorship. Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine says New York City has lost a giant, adding in countless ways his leadership shaped Harlem, NYC, and far beyond. Stay with CBS 2 and CBS News New York for continuing coverage on the death of Reverend Dr. Calvin Butts and a look back on his life and legacy. We'll have much more on this story coming up at 5.